I was halfway through the airport security line when a woman I had never seen before suddenly said the name my mother had forbidden me to hear. Daniel, I froze, not because Daniel was my name. It wasn't, it was the name I had buried 23 years ago. My real name was Michael. At least, that was what everyone had called me since I was 9 years old. My mother changed it after one terrible night, and from that day forward, she never allowed anyone to mention the name Daniel again. I had spent most of my life pretending I had forgotten why. I just didn't know the whole truth. My mother, Helen, raised me alone. My father disappeared when I was 6, and according to my mother, he had left because he didn't want us anymore. She never spoke badly about him. Somehow that made it worse. Whenever I asked about him, she would simply say, "Some people leave because they're weak. You don't have to understand them." So I stopped asking. Our life wasn't easy, but my mother worked hard. She cleaned offices during the day and sometimes worked nights at a restaurant. I remember falling asleep on the couch while waiting for her to come home, hearing the front door open at 2 in the morning. She would always kiss my forehead. "You're still awake, was waiting for you." She would smile even when she looked exhausted. "Go back to sleep, Michael." That was the name she gave me, Michael, but there had been another name. Daniel, I first heard it when I was 9. It was late at night. My mother was arguing with someone in the kitchen. I couldn't see who it was, but I heard a man's voice. "He has a right to know. He's my son," my mother whispered angrily. "And I'm protecting him. You can't protect him from the truth forever." Then I heard my mother say something that changed everything. "Daniel is dead." I didn't understand. I stepped into the hallway. My mother saw me. Her face went completely white. "Michael, go back to your room." "Who is Daniel?" The man in the kitchen went silent. My mother stared at me for several seconds before saying, "Nobody," but I knew she was lying. The next morning, she packed our bags. We moved to another city. And she never used the name Daniel again. Years passed. I grew up, went to college, built a career, got married, and eventually had a daughter of my own. My mother became older, quieter, and more tired. I asked her about Daniel once when I was 26. She looked at me and said, "Some doors are better left closed." I never asked again. Then 3 years ago, my mother died. Before she passed, she held my hand from her hospital bed. "There is something I should have told you." I leaned closer. She looked frightened. "Your father wasn't the man you think he was." I waited, but before she could continue, her heart monitor started screaming. The nurses rushed in. Those were the last words she ever said to me. "Your father wasn't the man you think he was." And now, 3 years later, I was standing in an airport when a complete stranger called me Daniel. I turned around slowly. The woman was probably in her late 60s, gray hair, beige coat, small leather handbag. She looked at me like she had just seen a ghost. "You're Daniel," she whispered. I shook my head. "My name is Michael." Her eyes filled with tears. "No." She took one step closer. "Your mother called you Michael." My stomach dropped. "How do you know my mother?" She didn't answer. Instead, she looked past me toward the departure gate. There was a man standing near the windows. He was old, maybe in his 70s. He was holding a walking cane and he was staring directly at us. The woman grabbed my wrist. "Don't let him see you." My heart started pounding. "Who is that?" She looked at me. "Your father." I couldn't breathe. For 23 years I had believed my father had abandoned us, but now he was standing less than 50 yards away, alive, watching me. The woman pulled me toward a quieter corner. "My name is Margaret," she said. "I knew your mother before she met your father." I stared at her. "What happened?" She looked toward the old man again. "He didn't abandon you." "Then why did my mother take me away?" Margaret swallowed. "Because she believed you were in danger." My hands went cold. "What kind of danger?" She hesitated. Then she said, "Your father wasn't the dangerous one." I felt something inside me break. "Then who was?" Margaret reached into her handbag and pulled out a small envelope. "This belonged to your mother." I recognized her handwriting immediately. My name was written across the front, Michael. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside was one piece of paper. There were only a few lines. "Michael, if you're reading this, then I didn't get the chance to tell you everything. Daniel was never another child. Daniel was you." I stared at the words. I couldn't understand them. Margaret whispered, "Your mother changed your name because someone was looking for you." I looked at her. "Who?" She pointed toward the old man. "Your father." I felt anger rise inside me. "You just said he wasn't dangerous. He wasn't looking for you to hurt you. Then why?" "Because he spent 23 years trying to find you." Everything inside me went silent. Margaret explained that my father had been a journalist investigating a criminal organization when I was a child. He had uncovered something dangerous and disappeared after refusing to cooperate with them. My mother panicked. She believed the people searching for him would eventually come after me. So she changed my name, she moved us, and she told everyone that Daniel was dead. My father had been searching for Daniel all those years, but he didn't know that Daniel had become Michael. I looked across the airport. The old man was still there. Our eyes met. He didn't move. He simply removed his glasses and wiped his eyes. Then he started walking toward me. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. Instead, I stood there. When he finally reached me, he stopped a few feet away. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then he whispered, "Daniel." I shook my head. "My name is Michael." His lips trembled. "I know." That broke me. He wasn't surprised. He already knew. He reached into his coat and pulled out an old photograph. It was me, a little boy. Maybe 6 years old, sitting on his shoulders. I recognized the shirt I was wearing. I remembered that day. Suddenly, memories came rushing back. His laugh, his voice. The way he used to carry me when I fell asleep. I had spent 23 years believing I had forgotten my father, but I hadn't. My mind had simply buried him where it could. He looked at me. "I never left you, Michael." My eyes filled with tears. "Then why didn't you come back?" He looked down. "Because I thought you were dead." We both started crying. There was no dramatic movie moment, no perfect speech, just two people standing in an airport trying to understand how an entire lifetime had disappeared between them. Finally, I asked the question I had carried since childhood. "Did you love my mother?" He closed his eyes. "More than anything." "Then why didn't she tell me the truth?" He looked at the letter in my hand. "Because she was afraid." I nodded. For the first time, I understood her. My mother hadn't lied because she didn't love me. She lied because she thought the truth would destroy me. She had spent her entire life carrying fear so I wouldn't have to. My father reached for my hand. I let him take it. And somehow, that simple gesture healed something inside me that I didn't even know was still broken. We sat together for nearly an hour. He told me stories about my childhood, stories I had forgotten. He remembered my first bicycle, my favorite cartoon, the way I used to fall asleep holding his finger. I laughed through my tears. Then he said something I'll never forget. "I'm sorry I missed your life." I looked at him. "You didn't miss all of it." He smiled sadly. "No." I shook my head. "You're here now." We exchanged numbers. We promised to meet again. And this time there would be no airport goodbye. As I walked toward my gate, I looked back one last time. My father was still sitting there, waiting, just like my mother had waited for me all those years ago. For the first time in my life, I realized something. Sometimes the truth doesn't arrive to destroy the past. Sometimes it arrives to finally explain it. My mother had buried the name Daniel because she thought she was protecting her son. But that name wasn't a curse, it was a piece of me, and after 23 years I finally stopped being afraid of it. My name is Michael. But I know now that somewhere inside me, Daniel never really disappeared. He was simply waiting for someone to remember him.